and welcome back to the Cognitive Corner podcast. Today I'm joined by Nuril Kingsley, an enhanced autism teacher in Fairfax County Public Schools, whose journey into special education began through her own experience as a mother. After her son was diagnosed with autism, she dedicated herself to learning everything she could to support him. That journey eventually inspired her to become a special education teacher, where she now helps students with autism while continuing to support and empower families navigating similar experiences. I actually had the opportunity to meet Nero during Autism Acceptance Month when we were both featured on Good Morning Washington on WJLA ABC7. And hearing her story really touched me, and I knew it was one that deserved to be heard by even more people. So I'm so excited to have her here today to talk about her journey, what she's learned along the way, and how greater understanding can help us build more inclusive communities. So welcome, Nero, and I just love to start at the beginning. So could you tell us a little bit more about your journey and what ultimately led you to become an enhanced autism teacher?
Thank you. First of all, I'm so inspired by what you've been doing, and I'm so honored to be invited to speak with you and to share my learning in life. So, you know, um, our journey coming to the US, actually, there were two stages. Actually, before we came to the US this time, we actually were already came here, the whole family, and Danny, my son, who has autism, wasn't born yet. I was expecting him. And we moved here. And then he was born here. When he was 2 years old, we decided to move back to Indonesia. So when we were in Indonesia, he, he was a happy, you know, young little boy.
Mhm.
But I noticed that, he didn't develop the way his sisters were. Um, so I started to wonder. Um, at age 3, my husband and I came back to the US just to meet with doctors,
Mhm.
with specialists. And the doctor said that I shouldn't worry about Danny's development because, boys speak later, walk later, and
Yeah.
things like that. Um, I don't know, I didn't feel comforted then. So of course, we came back to Indonesia, and I still believe there's something I need to figure out. And a friend of mine um, who was principal of international school in Indonesia told me, why don't you reach out this person that she knew in the US? And I just emailed this person. I just explained what I'm worrying about my son. And then she responded back to me saying, why don't you check out autism?
Mhm.
That was the first time I've heard about the word autism. And
Oh,
I thought,
really?
yes,
Oh, wow.
autism. What is this? So in Indonesia, you don't have much resources to learn
Mhm.
about things. So I asked my husband's brother, who, he's American, and then
Mhm.
all his family are here in the US. So I asked one of his brothers to send me books on autism. And that's the journey started. I started to educate myself what autism is like, what, considered to be, you know, signs of a child with autism, thing like that. The more I read the book and educate myself, the more I was convinced that Danny has autism. So I said
Wow.
to my son, my husband, we need to move back to the US. And he said, you didn't like the US. Why you want to move back? So I said, I really do believe Danny has autism.
Oh,
And
wow.
we closed down our business and everything, and we left Indonesia for good. I knew that was going to be for good because um, I'm just going to do whatever I can to provide what Danny needs. So we went directly to the Fairfax County Public School. Uh,
Hmm.
there is the eligibility process that FCPS provided for for younger children. We'd call the child find.
Hmm.
And so Danny was assessed and found eligible for autism. And that was the first time my suspicious was confirmed by the child find that Danny has autism. And that's how we came here. Um, After that, everything is just about learning, and, do the best I can to be Danny's mother, teacher, and support and everything else while trying my best to be a mother for my
Hmm.
other two children. So
Yeah.
that was, yeah, that was
Wow.
something.
Yeah, I think it's really amazing how like you took it upon yourself to educate yourself. Like when you have those suspicions, I think that's something that's really important, especially like considering in certain countries like my family comes from India, for example, and even there like there isn't as much awareness about autism. So I think like educating parents about like what the signs look like and what action to take, like I think it's amazing how you advocated for your child, like to get the diagnosis he needed and then eventually like moving back to America. So that's really
Yeah,
inspiring to hear. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. You know, it wasn't easy for us to make that decision to move back to the US because um, all my family are in Indonesia. Even
Oh
now,
yeah, I can
no
imagine.
one, yeah, no one is here. So moving to the US with this newly, you know, diagnosed child with
Mhm.
autism, doctors, therapies, navigating what therapies does he need right now, which doctor does he have to go? How about he hasn't been able to eat regularly? He doesn't like this food, he doesn't like that food. So navigating all of that was really, really something that I wish no parent gone through what I've gone through. Uh, I think having people around you is so important.
Yeah,
I didn't
definitely.
have anyone then.
Hmm.
And of course, my in-laws, they were very supportive, but not many people understand or knew about autism. And
Yeah.
autism wasn't understood as much as it is now,
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I can definitely agree with what you're saying right now because, like, having experienced like one of my family members also having autism, I like from even like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, like the awareness has expanded a lot more, and we still have like a long way to go. So that's definitely true. Like even in America,
Yeah.
there's a lot more awareness we need to spread in our communities. Yeah.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. When I moved here, I think because of the awareness is like, because all parents were still trying to figure out everything,
Yeah.
not enough resources around.
Mhm.
So I found that all of us became just so timid, it's like became so closed in and is not comfortable enough to open up to people. And I found that was even harder to be that way, because the more we closed in, I felt like the more isolated, I
Oh
was.
yeah.
And I learned the hard way. I thought I can do this on my own. Yes, I did. We we go to therapies, we go to different doctors, nutritionists, allergists, um, all kind of doctors, and then therapists. But at the end of the day, you want to hear stories from other parents
Yes.
because because a lot of time we are as parents feeling, have I done enough?
Mhm.
And am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
And so all of those really make it harder for me to have that confidence. So I'm so grateful that people now becoming more and more comfortable talking about autism,
Yes.
even though we still have a long way to go. And I think it is easier for me that now Danny is 20, yeah, almost 26
Oh,
years old. So
wow. Yeah.
it's easier for me to say that ask me about my son, whatever you want to know. But my wish is that more and more of us are comfortable talking about our children
Hmm.
because that is the only way the society can understand and start learning what is actually the type of society we want to build for these people who have autism.
Yes,
I
definitely. Yeah.
find it I find it that we've been forcing Danny to conform to what the society is now. No, you're not like this, not appropriate. That is not appropriate. But I could see more and more people now think about how can we create environment where individuals with autism don't have to conform, don't have to keep thinking about, no, this is not appropriate. This is not appropriate. To some extent, yes, that is true, but appropriateness is set by us.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we have the power to shift those, right?
Yeah.
So that's my hope.
Exactly. Yes, I really agree with that. Like, I think we need to start including kids, neurodiverse children into for example in school into like regular classrooms, really breaking that stigma that people have, like even our age. There's so many kids who don't know how to like interact with children who are neurodiverse. And I think like not treating them as if they're different and
Yes.
trying to really like incorporate them into the classrooms, into the different activities. So
Yes.
relating to that, like as your special education teacher, like I just wanted to know, like after you came to America with your son and started helping him out, what inspired you to take that step to become a teacher?
Yeah, that was a really slow process. And at some point, Danny was in public school. Then, due to many things, we decided to have him go to private school.
Mhm.
Then he also had a hard time going to school with all kind of, his a lot of his behaviors and also his compulsive, how do you call, obsessiveness on things that really make it hard for him. So going to school was even make it make his life more difficult than not. So I decided to homeschool him. Uh, so while I was homeschooling, I was actually working with a behavior specialist, through ABA. So my teaching him was using ABA principles, and I work with the technician and planning the lesson and how to deliver the lesson, all of that. Uh, so navigating the schooling, the doctors, the other therapists, all of that, it really gave me this tremendous insights uh, that how Danny needs. And I feel like I have something from, my learning being Danny's mom. I have something. truly, truly was, how can I share this? And of course, if you just being a mom, people not gonna have a place for you to contribute, to give back meaningfully. The only way is I have to, you know, have a profession where I have a space to actually contribute. Uh, that's when I decided to go back to school. Let's
Oh,
study
wow.
again. So, and that's how I started.
Mhm.
And being a mom and being teacher, to me, you may see the difference, but to me, what led me to teaching was based on my experience as mother. And being a teacher, those are still there. The only difference will be that as a teacher, there's all these, how do you call it, this component that I have to learn. Like, there's this aspect of academic, aspect of working with other parents, and compliance to the policies and all of that, which are important.
Yes.
So, in essence, though, to me, it's the same, but so fulfilling because you able to meet parents who are on the same boat, and you can collaborate with them, and you can uh, share learning with them. And especially when my student make progress and parents also see that, and parent has been working together, it's so fulfilling, it's so empowering for me.
Yeah, wow, it's really commendable how you like took that step and getting another degree is not easy. I know that. So it's really commendable how you like went back to school and wanted to share what you learned. I think that's amazing. And I wanted to ask, relating a little bit more back to what you said earlier about like Indonesia, what were some differences like you noticed between Indonesia and America when it came to like autism diagnosis or like how autism or neurodiversity is perceived? And
Mm.
yeah.
Mhm. I'm glad you asked about that. One of the reason, to be honest, one of the reason I was determined to move back to the US, because I know that the perception of people with autism in Indonesia is still so, how do you call it, is so negative. It's always, what did you do wrong with your child? This is at that time, what,
Mhm.
21 years ago, 22 years ago. What did you do with your child? Oh, you must did done something wrong. So that is still the perception. Oh, it's not appropriate for him to scream or jump around in a public place. You should just keep him home. That kind of thing. Uh, so that was how you know, children like Danny perceived then. And I also went everywhere in Jakarta to find ABA therapists. It's only one, the whole Indonesia.
Oh,
We
wow.
only have one. And then this lady actually was educated in the Philippines. And while we were waiting to move back to the US, Danny was doing ABA there. And then there's other therapy places that we went to, and it's still the understanding what autism was, that no, they need to learn. So again, the individual is the one who has to be fixed. They need to learn. That scared me then. So in the US, of course, it's so different,
Yeah.
so different. And I felt right away how Danny was seen as, someone with dignity, And that's one thing. Of course, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things we have to learn. We
Mhm.
have to refine the way we treat individuals with autism,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it's different. So yeah, I'm grateful that we are here.
Yes, yeah, I definitely like understand what you mean when you say like how over in many other countries around the world, like people who have autism or like other like who are neurodiverse, they aren't really treated as people a lot of the time, which is so wrong. I definitely know that like in those countries, it's a lot of the time because of the lack of education. It's not always people's fault, but I really think that like all of us as a community have to like work together to really not just in America, but try to spread that awareness in other countries. Because I think those countries, like there's so many cases of autism, for example, even like where my parents grew up, and a lot of the time they're just told to like you said in Indonesia to not be sent to school, not be let out in the public, and it makes me so sad hearing that like and yeah, I it's really brave what you did have coming all the way to America and giving your son a better life. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. And
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. You know, I talk to my family a lot, and
Mhm.
I think they have growth in Indonesia. Like
Yeah.
therapies, the
Mhm.
resources are becoming more available, but it's
Yeah.
of course only those who are wealthy who can access
Yes.
those.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's gonna be small
still,
steps,
yeah,
but we'll
small
get
step.
there eventually. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and so another question I wanted to ask you is since you have such a unique experience and perspective as both a parent and a teacher, how has being a parent like influenced the way you teach or like vice versa? Like how has being a teacher changed how you parent?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When I was a parent, who has autistic son at school, I was fortunate to have this really, really special teacher for Danny. That is, at the same time, uh, I felt that loneliness in a school environment because, um, yeah, my son is in that classroom and then the others is in there. There's this feeling of why don't we bridge this separation, which, sometimes is needed
Yeah.
because students like my son, sometime when he was in school, sometime he would grab someone's hair, you
Hmm.
know, so which I understand. But at the same time, I feel like, is there any way, is there any way? And not once have I feel that um, the school is being unjust or being unfair. But at the same time, me as a mom, as a parent, I want more for my son, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, at the same time, I understand how, he needed to have
Hmm.
a self-contained class
Yeah.
because, we are interdependent as human interdependence are our nature. So whatever one does impact others. And in that way, I truly understand. So there's this longing in me that if I become an educator, I will always carry this with me. This longing of parents, of families, that their children are treated with dignity and that their children are seen as uh, people who have a lot of potentials. And that's going to be my focus. So then I became a teacher.
Mhm.
And of course, it's not that simple. I really understand the work of teachers now because you educate students in a classroom and you want to do your best. You want to do right by each of our students. But there's this competing demand and responsibility. So my perception about, oh, I want Danny to get this, I want Danny to get that. As much as that is still true, but I could see that the truth is everything can only go so far. I just want to be very, very thoughtful about what I want to say.
Mhm.
Um, being a teacher, it really gives me the insights. What are the teachers or school personnel or people in the central office have to navigate to provide appropriate education for all students. We have a lot of things to work on, but I truly see that all these educators, whether you are principal, teachers, or people in the central office, they give everything to do their best. But at the same time, there's a real, what you call constraint. It's real. The constraint is real. You can talk about it, budget, you can talk about policy, you can talk about politics, all of that. But at the essence, educators really doing their best with what they have. So what shaped me, what really shift me now is this. With all of this constraint, my motherly instinct for Danny will never go away. I will always see my student as an individual who are noble and have dignity. And those parents are special people who are doing their best to provide for their children and work with teachers. So every day I remind myself, all of us trying to do our best. The only way I want to focus on is how can I build true collaboration with families? That's all. That's kind of my, and my hope is that we all starting to see that this is not just either teachers' job or parents' job, but it's our job. Our job. It's not just parents and teachers, the neighbor's job too,
Yeah.
everyone's job, really, if we think about
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely like being so I'm on my county's special education citizens advisory committee. So like a committee comprised of parents, teachers, students as well. So what you said is so true. Like there's so much that goes into it, like the policy side, the budget, all that stuff. As you mentioned, there's so much more than a lot of people realize. So it's really important to keep that in mind. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And be always assume a positive in others.
Yes.
I
Yes,
think when we
definitely.
can do that, we will always find ways.
Yeah.
Things cannot be perfect all the time. That's my
Yeah.
belief. Oh my goodness. In my classroom, there are chaos. Sometimes I have to take a deep breath and walk out of the room. And I would say to my colleague, I just need to step out and
Yeah.
come back in. But at the end of the day, our work matters,
Yeah.
really,
Really matters.
really.
100%. Yes.
Yes. So,
Yeah. And then one last question I just had before time ends. I just wanted to ask that, like, during your time during your interview on Good Morning America or Good Morning Washington, excuse me,
Mhm.
you talked about the importance of like support groups or like having a community to lean on. So, like, for a parent who maybe just recently learned that their child has autism or um, some other mental health related disorder, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, don't walk alone. This journey is too great for us to walk alone.
Mhm.
And I do recognize that it's not easy to find those who can walk with us, but keep trying. We will find someone. And also reach out and reach out. If it doesn't work, try again. My experience has been that, um, all of us always mean well. When people ask me about my son, they always mean well want to be kind to me. A lot of time, the people, instead of asking question, wanting to know more, people go directly to advice, right? So
Yeah.
they would just like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And I think that's what discourages family to be open. So my
Yeah.
hope is that we just just want to know, just learn more. That's it.
That's
And if we want to learn more just because we want to learn, I think more of us is gonna become more open to talk about, what our family is going through.
yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, community is really important in any case, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
important to build a strong community.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Nuril, I just wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to join me today, for sharing your story so openly and being like brave enough to share it on a platform. I really appreciate like all your honesty and your willingness to help others through your experiences. Because, like you said, like having other stories to hear really helps other parents who may be experiencing this for the first time. And to everyone listening, I hope this conversation encouraged you to look beyond labels and remember that every diagnosis has a person or a family and a story behind it. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on the Cognitive Corner podcast.